I went for years thinking that my alcoholism, I knew I was an alcoholic, but I went so long just thinking somehow, some way, some magic would happen and that my alcoholism would get better. And it just never did. But it never did because I never did anything. I never took any action to make it get better. So I quickly found out that alcoholism never gets better, it just gets worse. And it's, we hear all the time that, alcoholism is a progressive disease, but this illness, left untreated, eventually is fatal. It just keeps digging at you and taking from you and giving you these false hopes, these rationalizations and false promises. Like here's one. I only drink on weekends. This is what I'll do to fix my alcoholism. I'll only drink on weekends. So believing that cutting back that's going to equal control. Or how about this? I'll switch to beer and wine. Well, number one, I wouldn't say I hated beer and wine because it was alcohol, but it really did nothing for me. I was, just liquor for me. But just thinking that, my mindset, just thinking that just because I'm going to switch to a lower alcohol content, that's going to magically solve my problems. Because in reality, what I did is I sought out, if I was going to drink beer and wine, I sought out the higher alcohol content. So what is it, Four Loko and Still Reserve? Four Loko had the highest content for beer. So if I was desperate, and it was a Sunday because, the ABC store wasn't open. Well, anyway, wasn't open. So if I was desperate and I needed alcohol, I would just go to the gas station and get a Four Loko, which I think was like 14.4% or something like that. Or a Still Reserve, which was like 8%. But I would never get like a Coors Light. I mean, that's just... So, and then wine, I knew what all the alcohol content was for each of the wines. I knew Cabernet was going to be like 8.5%. So, and the sweeter you got, you went with the wine, it was going to be a lower alcohol content. So, Masato, or I forget what they're called now, but they were like a 4%. Anyway, so, but these are the false promises that I would tell myself to fix my alcoholism. And this is how I'm going to do it on my own. All right, and here's a good one. I'll stop after 2 drinks. Number one, a big thing about alcoholics is we can't just drink one. I can't, drink. I drank for 25 years, and I can honestly say I doubt there was ever one time that I just had one drink. There's no way. There's no way. So all of a sudden now, just because I'm going to be setting rules that I'm never going to stick to, but I'm going to set these rules that, okay, I'm going to limit myself to 2 drinks, which is bullcrap. There's no way in the world I'm going to do that. So real alcoholism, let's just break it down into everyday language. Real alcoholism is not like a cold that you just get through. It's not just a phase that you're going through. It's progressive. It doesn't stand still. So if you stop drinking for a little while, and I remember stopping and starting drinking hundreds of times because I was around people and I didn't want them pissed off that I was drinking all the time. So I stopped and started a lot. So, but usually, see, when you do that, let's say you stop drinking for a month, let's just say, when you start back again, your alcoholism just doesn't reset back to the beginning of time. It picks up right where it left off, and usually worse, because our bodies are breaking down a little bit each time. So usually and at least in my case, every time that I stopped and started, and that was probably, let's just say, call it 100 times, every time was a little bit worse. The withdrawals were just a little bit worse. It took longer to get better, to feel better. So for me, I actually did have those rationalizations. I actually remember thinking that if I, just poured a half a shot into this glass of Sprite Zero. That lasted about a half a second, because I mean, I never did that. I never followed through with that. I mean, if I'm going to have a martini, I'm going to have 5. That's just the way it was for me. So all of these rationalizations just pile up, and the more they piled up, my world got smaller and smaller and smaller. And this really is, I hated to even call it a disease because I just didn't understand it, but it is a disease. It's an illness, and it's relentless once you're involved. Okay, so if you're an alcoholic, you know exactly what I'm getting ready to say, and you will believe it. You might not openly admit it, but we rationalize, minimize, and justify everything when it comes to our drinking. We don't want to agree. We don't want to have to make a decision that we're not going to drink. And we damn sure don't want to say that we're never going to have a drink again, ever. So that's why we do this one day at a time. But we will rationalize everything. I'm tired. I had a long day at work. It's stressful. I have a new job. I have a new girlfriend. I'm about to lose my job. Anything that we will do, we will use that in order for us to drink. I did this one for a long time, knowing I had to stop because my health was in dire straits. I said I was going to wean off. I weaned off for 6 months. That is bull. I rationalized the fact that I was sick and I didn't want to have a stroke or have another seizure, that I had to wean myself off. That is I can't even say the word, rationalizing the whole situation. So if you ever ask yourself, why can't I drink like other people, or why does it always get worse? What we're saying is that there is a way out. I didn't think there was a way out. I thought I was going to die like this. But the fact is, there is a way out. And the first step is admitting the truth that we cannot beat this on our own. I can't do this on my own. I have to have a program, a clear plan of recovery that will lead me to a spiritual solution. And that's what did it for me.